Is AI going to replace my job? Questions. Honestly, I feel like this conversation comes with me and my friends almost every other day. Like, hey, do y'all feel like AI is going to replace our jobs? And we all work in the tech engineering space, but in different sectors. And we talk about whether or not we feel like, if we're seeing a rise in that, like, are we seeing some form of a trend? I mean, you can't go on any type of site. You can't listen to any type of podcast, any type of TikTok without hearing about how AI is replacing jobs. And I'm going to tell you what I think about it, what my opinion, if I think it's going to replace engineering jobs. I saw, Salesforce said that they were no longer hiring entry-level positions and for software engineers, and we're going to replace that with AI. That's a whole nother thing about whether or not there's even such thing as an entry-level role in engineering anymore. That's a story for another day. But will AI replace our jobs? DevOps, systems, software, mechanical, all of us. Will AI replace our jobs? There's a reason why companies are looking for things such as AI to replace jobs. One, because they don't have to onboard somebody. The learning curve obviously is non-existent. They have the opportunity now to basically just have somebody come in and start working on stuff right away, which is no onboarding, right? There's no downtime in that. And now, like, they don't have to worry about whether somebody's coming in and they're gonna leave right when they get all the skills, or right when they get like a clearance, or they get their cert or something, whatever. They're gonna just leave to go to another company for better opportunities. It's scary. That's what companies, I get their logic. Doesn't mean it's okay, but I get their logic of why they want AI to replace certain jobs, right? And if we're being honest, AI is being used to analyze certain things that humans used to do. It's used to generate code now. It's used to replace and do repetitive tasks, things that people used to do. It's being used for a lot. Like, it's in combination with automation. It's just being used. I look at AI. I don't necessarily think AI is going to replace our jobs, right? But I do look at AI as a tool. I think about AI similarly to, now, if you were in college, and I'm talking about the Meckies, the double E's, if you guys were in college and you were using Chegg, right? It didn't matter how many times you used Chegg to do your homework assignment. The test is different. If you did not understand the concepts and the breakdowns of how Chegg was teaching you how to do the problem, like the solution, let's say you have a fluids dynamic problem, and you are just writing down the answer that Chegg is giving you the solution for. When it comes time to the exam, you're still failing the exam. But if you actually took Chegg and used it as a way to study, you actually looked at it to use it as a way to understand why this is being broke down this way, why we're going to use this formula versus this one, why and how this works. And then you also use Chegg to get other problems. So you use it as a tool to study. When it came to the test, that was a different problem. That was something different that's not there's no solution you can look up on Chegg. You still pass. And that was the difference. I had friends who would use Chegg and just like copy the problems. And every single time, it's like they didn't learn. Every single time that we had an exam, wouldn't pass the exam. Man, it took me one time to realize that the exam is not the same as the solutions from Chegg. And I think the same thing, at least for me, when it comes to AI, and this is just my opinion. When I'm talking about AI, I'm talking about like things like quick little like ChatGPT, Gemini. When I'm using that as my example, it's very hard to use that in replacement of your programming, your coding, or whatever type of architectural development and stuff that you're doing at work. You need to learn, like ChatGPT can tell me that in order for me to create IAM roles, I need to write a Terraform file that's going to do X, Y, Z, right? I need to know how to apply that to what I do and to what we currently have. And I also need to know, like, certain things aren't going to be the same the way ChatGPT prints it out versus what is live in what I'm doing, if that makes sense. Like, it's not copy and paste. So I honestly use ChatGPT as a very big learning tool. When I asked ChatGPT, how would I write a Terraform module to build out ECR in AWS? I'm not just going to be like, okay, this is the copy, this is the paste of what ChatGPT said. I then like, okay, well, explain to me, why do I have to break out variables Terraform file and then have an output Terraform file and then have this a main Terraform file? Why do I have to do this? Then explain it to me so that I understand the process, right? And then no matter what, knowing how to apply it to what I'm actually doing at work, because it's never a cookie cutter thing when it comes to that, right? So I use it as a very, like, a tool versus, to me, before ChatGPT, it was Stack Overflow. If it it was one thing, it was another. One thing I learned, you're gonna always go online to look. Nobody memorizes anything. So you're gonna go online to look to see what tools are available for you. Something's not working, like I look at the log, I paste it into Google. I'm like, okay, what problem did somebody else have for this? What was their solution? ChatGPT, Gemini makes it easier because it's just consolidating all of those Stack Overflow articles I would have read, people's responses, the Medium articles I would have looked at, the Reddit, is putting it all in one place in front of me with the solution versus reading one person, they tried this, they tried that. And I still do both because I still think it's good to try both, honestly, instead of having it always just right in your face, easy for you. But to me, it's literally the same thing, using it as a tool to do that. And also when it comes to debugging, I use it as a tool to help when it comes to debugging. The same way that I would go and look at Stack Overflow articles, responses, Medium responses. It's a very good debugging tool because, like I said, it really just consolidates all that information for me. It's looking and it's seeing, and I'm not using it to just copy code. And it's not helpful, honestly, to just copy code because one, you're not gonna learn. Two, it's never copy and paste. It never actually works. If you are just, is the word a pencil pusher? If you just like, if step A doesn't work and step B doesn't work, so you just are saying like, that's all I can do, then honestly, yeah, it's gonna take your job. But if you're the type of person, step A doesn't work, step B doesn't work, let me troubleshoot, let me figure out what are some other options, let me engineer this solution and use it as a tool, I don't think it will. I think it will be a tool that will help you advance in your engineering. I honestly think that ChatGPT helped me learn fast. The funny thing is, I keep saying AI, but I'm just only saying ChatGPT. And that's my example that I'm gonna use for it. But the funny thing is, my manager at my last job is the one who introduced me to ChatGPT. I never heard of it before. He was like, oh, hey, do you know what this is? Like, no. And then he was like, oh yeah, it's really helpful, blah, blah. And then so I started using it and I was like, this is beautiful. This is like, it takes out hours of me reading Stack Overflow articles. It takes out hours of me reading through so many different Medium articles, or somebody had tried this solution, they set it up this way. I will say that I'm glad I didn't have it in college though, because I don't know if I would have the same thought process of still wanting to learn how to troubleshoot, still having the critical thinking skills in brainstorming, the engineering design process that I had. But like I said, I just see, similarly to Chegg, it's a tool. I know teachers didn't like me use Chegg, but that's on business. I think that Chegg was a very good tool to help me when it came to studying. It helped me prepare for exams. It helped me to actually understand what I was doing. Honestly, Chegg broke down how to do heat transfer problems better than my heat transfer teacher did. So I think it is a good solution. I think that it's a tool that can help you as long as you use it as a tool. I don't think it will replace your job. As long as you decide to use, like, don't try to be the person who was like, I'm just gonna ignore it because I don't want anything to do with it. Now it's here and it's not going anywhere and it's probably just gonna get better. So honestly, I wanna start looking at ways to use AI when it comes to DevOps, when it comes to CI/CD pipelines. I've been looking things up, trying to make sure that I'm able to add those new skill sets onto my resume, into my tool bucket. Like, I'm not about to shy away from it just because I think it's coming to replace me. Here's another example, right? Before there was AutoCAD, people were designing and drawing things by hand. And then somebody came and made this beautiful 3D modeling tool to actually make things faster. You're actually able to see things in three-dimensional dimension. You're actually able to do that faster, right? So if I was an engineer back then and I said, no, I'm not learning AutoCAD. We need to keep designing things by hand. We need to do da-da-da-da. It's just coming to take our job. So I'm not about to learn it. Which mechanical, civil, or even architect do you know who does not use AutoCAD right now? If you are still designing things by hand, you would have lost your job. So I think about it the same way. Like, it's a tool. It's gonna be a tool that will help us. I don't think we need to fear, but I do think we need to be on our A game. We need to get our skills up and learn how to use it as a tool. And if AI is gonna help me get rid of the boring tasks that I personally don't want to do at work, it can come on, because I don't want to do those tasks anyways. I want to be able to use my time to do more creative, better things, and things that I actually feel like I would bring value. So I hope that was helpful. Do you think AI is gonna take y'all jobs? And if you do, let me know why. I'm actually curious to hear.